She's an Oscar and Golden Globe nominated actress. She's got Modern Love Season 2 on Amazon Prime Video coming soon. She'll be starring in the new Cinderella movie in July. And she's got a new podcast called Mini Questions. You can check it out wherever you get your podcasts. Give it up for Minnie Driver, everybody! Hello!
Hello.
I am such a big fan. Oh my God, I'm so excited that you're doing my show. But I gotta ask you, how about that officer, 91? He's still like, whatever, I'm doing it.
I thank you for your service, sir. You are amazing. I'm very, very happy that you have a lovely lady in your life.
I know, lady friend was my favorite term of the day. So what's one thing that you're so passionate about that you think you'll do into your 90s?
You know, I hope that I am still surfing when I'm 90. I'm almost a lifelong lover of surfing, and a lot of my friends that I've surfed where I've lived in Malibu for the last 25 years, I surf with a lot of older people, and they taught me everything I know. And I watched them stay in shape and stay healthy and happy and vibing. And so I hope I'm still doing that when I'm 91.
What's been one of your wildest surfing experiences?
Well, I lived for a little while on the North Shore of Oahu, and I would, I think, quite mistakenly go out surfing by myself, which, you know, they're big, powerful waves and it's big, powerful swells, but you know, it teaches you to be respectful, and you watch and you learn. And I went out, and it was a great day. But as you know, with a lot of breaks in Hawaii, out of nowhere, I suddenly saw the horizon start to kind of bubble a little bit. And it's what's called the cleanup set. This giant outside set was coming in, and I just froze. I had no idea what to do. The wave was about, you know, it was like a 15-foot face. It was a big wave for me. And there was this female surfer next to me, and she was like, you know, you better choose where you're gonna go. Are you gonna paddle? Are you gonna try and take the wave away? Because if you're not, you need to paddle really hard to get up over the peak.
Oh my
gosh. So I started playing harder than I've ever. And it was like I felt like I was paddling vertically. It was like in all of those movies where
that's what I was just thinking of. Like, I was thinking of when you're on a boat. You know those movies when you're on a boat in the movie and all this like perfect storm or something like that, and you're like going straight up, and I'm like, no. Yeah, and then all of a sudden it comes across it, and you're like, they're gonna die. How are they not dead? Like, it's like I'm not an adventure seeker. Is your son? Is he an adventure seeker?
Yeah, he can't help himself. He's so cute. He's a big, strong guy, and he's really active, and he's always playing, and he's like a little bull. He hasn't figured out his own strength yet. You know?
I'm so fearful that will be my son. He's obsessed with Peter Pan. I'm like, you can't fly. Please don't try and fly. Like, he just jumps off of everything. He's really into Peter Pan. I feel like I'm gonna live at the ER one day. It's fine. What's your relationship with your son like? Y'all have a pretty strong bond?
Yeah, I was a single mom raising him, and he's a very emotionally articulate person. He's amazing. He is kind, and he is considerate. And he kind of makes friends wherever he goes. He's like, I often think of, he's like one of those, you know, when Snow White's going through the movie, and like the flower petals and the birds are kind of all around her. Henry kind of carumps his way through life with flower petals and sunbeams coming all around him, because he's a good guy.
What a beautiful thing. I love the visual. Well, your new podcast is called Mini Questions. So what's it about?
Well, I really love asking people questions, and I love to hear how different their answers are. And I used to do it when I was a little kid. I would interview people. I would ask the same questions to family members, and I've always loved the form of that. So the concept was, what if I asked the same 7 questions to a bunch of really cool, interesting people, and maybe we could create some kind of cultural anthology to understand what a scientist's last meal, their dream last meal would be, or the musician, or the actor, or the author, to help us feel more connected and also see how we're individual.
Here's a question. If you could switch places with one person, you love your life, there's nothing wrong with you, you're great. But if you could switch places with one person, who would it be?
Oh my goodness. I would switch places with Elon Musk, and I would do
Oh
a
my
lot
God,
with
that's
that man.
mine. That is, I am obsessed. I've read like books on him. I'm obsessed. I think he's so cool. That's mine.
Me too.
I think he's so interesting. I want my brain to
And
work like that.
I want my brain to work like that, but I also want like still part of my brain that would spend money in an incredibly like different creative way than perhaps amazing, brilliant Elon Musk would spend it.
Yeah.
And I would still only spend like, $1 billion in a day, probably.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it just rough? Yeah. No, I think it's amazing too. All the things like innovative, weird kind of things, he'll come out with something like kind of strange and like what? But I think all those weird things they always lead to something amazing. Like, I'm so excited, about what they're doing with space and how he talks about, AI and like all that stuff. I think it's so interesting. It's so funny you picked him. That would be who I'd pick.
That is funny because he's been on my mind, and I did. Well, I actually haven't read a bunch of books, but I started reading a book about him, and it is fascinating, and it's really funny that you picked him as well. See, now you've got to come on my show and do some more self.
Well, I'll give honest, raw answers, ma'am. So
That's what I love.
my mom is like, you could use a tiny bit of a filter. And I'm like, why?
I don't think so. I think it's good. I think filterless is good.
Is it true that you had a hard time dealing with this sudden huge fame after, and I want to ask this question because it was after Good Will Hunting, which by the way I loved. I love everything you do, Return to Me, all of them. But my question is, because I feel like it was really hard. Like mine was like 180 overnight, like fame. And I never really wanted fame. I know that seems like such a cliche answer that famous people say, but I didn't. I just really wanted to be a background singer and travel the world for all these different singers, and that was my big dream. And so anyway, my life kind of took a turn, and I felt like it was a lot at once, and I couldn't go to the store. I couldn't, like, all of a sudden it was like, I can't take it back. I had this like complete meltdown in my garage with my brother, and I was like, I can't take it back. Like, it's done. Like, it's out there. I could never have a normal job, like, to where people won't know. And it's like, and it kind of freaked me out. I'm totally fine now, but I just mean, like, I freaked out. Did you ever have that, like, right after, like, because that film was so huge?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was very, very weird because there's no one except your family and maybe a couple of your closest friends who you could ever complain to about that, because from the outside it really is like you found the pot of the end of the rainbow, the pot of gold, you got everything. And yet with it comes this the way that you are then processed, the way that you're imaged, the way that people think that you are, everything is metabolized by all these other people, and it's very easy to lose sight of who you actually are because you start seeing yourself reflected in all the eyes of all these people, and it's overwhelming and weird and very, very, very strange, and it's kind of like standing on the top of a big cliff and then free falling.
The advice I give anytime anybody's like, oh, what advice would you give? Because they're like a decade younger than me or whatever in the business. I'm like, don't read anything. Like, because you're either going to get a big ego or you're going to want to crawl in a hole and die. So neither are great. So yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
And there really wasn't a lot of, certainly like in the 90s, like there was no recourse, like stuff that was written about you. There was no social media to combat any of those opinions that were offered up by, armchair critics, or just journalists who felt like having fun with the new kid in town, or they just didn't like you, or whatever it was. So there was nowhere to put any of that. And for all the terribleness of the internet that we all know exists with trolling and the nightmare of that whole world, I kind of love being able to have my voice be clear and people can find what it is I think about something, and I can disseminate some rumor before it's even begun, or I can address something head on in my own words, calmly, clearly, and nip stuff in the bud, like stop it growing into bad stuff.
Absolutely, I agree. My career started out and all that stuff didn't exist, all the social media. And then literally like a few years into my career, it started. And I was like, oh, it was such a blessing to be able to go, to just kind of attack the rumor mill and say, that's not real. This isn't true. That's not what I said. Like, it's a really beautiful thing to way to get to actually clear things up. But I love talking with you. I can't wait to do your podcast one day once I've really thought about my questions, or maybe I shouldn't think and just say what comes to my mind. But everybody, Minnie's podcast is called Minnie Questions, and they are great questions. So you should check it out wherever you get your podcasts. You should listen to that. Also look for Minnie in Modern Love, season 2 on Amazon Prime, and in the new Cinderella movie this summer. She's doing everything, y'all. Yep, I'm still here, just waiting for you to subscribe. If you don't, I'll be trapped in this box forever.